Buckle up. They're about to turn this printing machine on full blast once again. The Fed's meeting was yesterday, and they announced lowering interest rates. We expected this, 0.25, as I told you guys. It would have been something exciting if they went 0.50, but they only went 0.25. He's kind of back and forth. They're kind of half and half within the Fed Council around December meeting. But what he did say is they're going to end quantitative tightening on December 1st. And you know what that means is as we go into 2026, we're going to bring in a new Fed chair. We're going to talk about all of this today. We're going to show you the facts, figures, numbers, logic. They're going to bring in a new Fed chair. They're going to bring these rates down as low as humanly possible. And they are going to print more money than in history. Listen to what I'm saying right now. By 2030, if you don't hold the gold, if you don't hold the silver, if you don't hold fixed supply assets like Bitcoin, things like Xrp, I'm just sharing with you exactly what I'm doing from 2020 to 2025 and 2025 to 2030. My goal is to accumulate as many, I don't care what you invest in. I'm trying to beat inflation and fixed supply assets because here's how the economy works. You can't just print money in a low interest rate environment and not cause inflation once again. They printed more money than history from 2020 to 2024. You lost 24% of your purchasing power. In just 2025, you've lost 11% of your purchasing power in your bank account. You see $10,000. I see 11% less purchasing power. On my XRP and Bitcoin has grown 200% since 2020, and XRP grew by 800% since 2020. You see this, I see this. You see this in your bank account, and I see this. You have to learn hurdle rates. They don't teach you this in school. If you're still paying attention, write this down. Hurdle rate. At about 2 to 3% inflation, you lose about half of your purchasing power every 35 years. There's no backing to the US dollar. So they're going to bring rates down. They're going to turn the printing machine on, and they're going to suck all the liquidity into stable coins. That's how they're going to save the bond market from collapsing. The stable coins are about 60% short-term treasuries. They're going to balance out the stablecoin market. The US eventually is not going to be the dominant currency. It's going to be on an even playing field monetarily. Okay. Once they get positioned, they're going to open up this whole new system. Bitcoin will be the new store of value. Trust me, it will be the new store of value. Things like XRP, XLM, HBAR, many others. It's not a zero-sum game. There'll be everybody's tribalism back and forth. It's going to be this. Guys, it's not a zero-sum game. But you better not play outside the top 10, the top 15, the top 20. You better figure out which ones are going to win regulation. Okay. I always tell you on the back end of every video exactly what I'm doing. I'm very strategic and very succinct in what I do. I don't care what you invest in, but you have to learn hurdle rates. Okay. They say that 2 to 3% inflation is healthy. I just told you, you lose 35%. Every 35 years, you lose half of your purchasing power. So if you're sitting in a dollar that's worthless and you're not transmuting your cash into something that grows or that you can leverage properly to buy more cash flow, you're going to get wrecked. It's going to be exciting because you can monetize more debt, but that buries your future self. So if you're not getting a pay raise that beats inflation and you keep borrowing liabilities, you become poor every single year. The system has been rigged for a very, very long time. So I'm going to show you the facts, figures, numbers, logic, and then on the back end of our video, I'm going to do some deep education on exactly what I am doing. Okay. I'm always going to peel back the curtain for you guys. So yesterday I posted this, or this morning, excuse me, Feds cut interest rates by 0.25. We expected that. So there was really no market response. Feds confirmed money printing. And so he said, hey, we're going to stop quantitative tightening on December 1st. Okay. They're going to start to, in 2026, they're going to start printing money again. Okay. You think this is by chance? This is what I posted. The government will reopen. The Clarity Act will get approved at some point, maybe Q4, maybe Q1 2026. Crypto ETFs will get approved, all the XRP ETFs eventually. And just like that, the pain will be forgotten and the crowd will rush in euphoria. And this is the most dangerous part in the cycle. Why? Because 99% of people have no ecosystem, no strategy, just hopium that their favorite crypto will save their future. You can't just sit there and wait for a price. You have to build ecosystems. And this is what I did. Well, the masses sat and wait after it collapsed in 2022. We bought the fear in 2022, 2023, 2024. We were building ecosystems. Okay. We bought the red and we sell the green. I call it capital DR, cash flow into deflationary assets that have fixed supplies. Okay. I move it into protection. I responsibly leverage against protection to buy more cash flow, and I de-risk when people are in euphoria. Okay. And I make sure that I have an ecosystem that produces cash flow. So when it tanks again, which there's going to be a bear market, there'll be more black swans, I buy more. Okay. So let's dive right into this. Trump slams Fed chair, eyes replacement in a few months. We're very close. We're about 2 quarters away from a replacement. And this was on Fox News, where they talk about some of the replacements for Fed Jerome Powell.
For the next head of the Federal Reserve, the president is expected to make his pick by year's end, and Bessent just released his finalists. 5 candidates. You're looking at them heading to a second round of interviews in the coming weeks. The Fed meets tomorrow and again in December and is expected to continue cutting rates.
Okay, so let's go back just a moment. We're hearing that it's this guy, probably Kevin Warsh. So I'm going to dive into him, see what his past is. I think I'll have to go deeper into it. I think he's part of the Federal Reserve right now, but the rumors are this is a top 5 candidate. So we'll dive into all these 5 candidates and we'll see see if they're crypto friendly. They have to be in the president's cabinet or to be part of the Fed, which I think Trump is going to pull the Fed underneath the government. Okay. So here is Jerome Powell, and here's what he said.
So you're right. The place we'll be on December 1 is that the size of the balance sheet is frozen. And as mortgage-backed securities mature, we'll reinvest those in Treasury bills, which will foster both a more Treasury balance sheet and also a shorter duration. So that's what. In the meantime, if you freeze the size of the balance sheet, the non-reserve liabilities, currency, for example, they're going to continue to grow organically. And because the size of the balance sheet is frozen, you have further shrinkage in reserves. And reserves is the thing that we're managing that has to be ample. So that'll happen for a time, but not a tremendously long time. We don't know exactly how long. But at a certain point, you'll want to start reserves to start gradually growing to keep up with the size of the banking system and the size of the economy. So we'll be adding reserves at a certain point, and that's the last point. Even then, we didn't make decisions about this today, but we did talk today about the composition of the balance sheet, and there's a desire that the balance sheet be right now it's got a lot more duration than the outstanding universe of Treasury securities. And we want to move to a place where we're closer to that duration. That'll take some time. We haven't made a decision about the ultimate endpoint, but we all agree that we want to move more in the direction of a balance sheet that more closely reflects the outstanding treasuries, and that means a shorter duration balance sheet. Now, this is something that's going to take a long time and move very, very gradually. I don't think you'll notice it in market conditions, but that's the direction.
God, I've never heard him with this much lack of confidence. I've been following everything he does since 2020, and it's like I've never seen him with this. That you could tell he's just like, they're backed in a corner, guys. They're backed in a corner. There's 120% debt to income ratio. The stock market is completely overheated. Look at Warren Buffett indicator. Okay, you have more debt than you have income. Now, do you see why Trump left? Not liking crypto, came back as the Bitcoin president, 21 million fixed supply, why the Trump family is becoming one of the wealthiest families in cryptocurrency. His whole cabinet is pro-crypto. Howard Lutnick is the head of Cantor. Fitzgerald, who is the custodian for USAT Tether, which is 90% of the stablecoin. We now have a Tether in America. We have RLUSD from Ripple. We have USD1, the fastest growing stablecoin by WFI, which is Trump's creation. Steve Witkoff's creation, the Witkoff boys and the Trump boys now run it. If you look at the website on WFI, it says Emiratis #1 after that on Trump and Steve Witkoff. They put that on their pictures now 2 weeks ago because they pulled them out of it. They're co-founders. The boys are now running it. The boys are running the ecosystem. Steve Witkoff stepped out. So their dads are writing the rules and the boys are running the financial system. That's the game, guys. I didn't create the game. That's what's happening. I'm telling you, that's what's happening. Bitcoin will be a store of value like gold. They're going to use Bitcoin to shrink the balance sheet. Countries around the world are all going to be putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Like, we can argue back and forth all day. What are the companies doing? Strategy B, everybody thought they were crazy. MicroStrategies became Strategy B. Let me just bring you guys on my screen. MicroStrategies became Strategy B. And what do? They became a Bitcoin treasury. Everybody thought they were crazy. There's like 178 corporations now that have Bitcoin treasuries. We created one for our company. Think about that. We take 20% of our profit. We run 20% profit margin. We take 20% of our profits into Bitcoin, XRP, and our dividend strategies. So we're creating cash flow, richest man in Babylon. We're transmuting cash flow into Bitcoin and XRP, profits into Bitcoin and XRP. And as people lost 11% purchasing power, over the long run, our Bitcoin's growing 50% every year and our XRP will grow exponentially because they're fixed supply assets. So let's talk about that. And I'll talk about the macroeconomic conditions, and then I'll share with you how I manage my assets based on macroeconomic conditions. Again, I don't care what you invest in. I care if you're beating inflation. You have to understand that the dollar you're in is debt. It's just debt. It's just money. It's just energy moving back and forth. And interest runs the whole world. Interest runs the whole world, guys. If everybody paid off their debt, the whole world would collapse. Rationalize that. If everybody paid off their debt and was responsible, the whole world would collapse. The whole system runs off interest. So you're either on the making money on interest or you're paying the interest. That's it. It's that simple. So when I realized that, I'm like, oh shit, I need to get my family on the right side of the cash flow quadrant, Robert Kiyosaki. So I stopped trading time for money. I built ecosystems. I scaled my businesses. I took my money. I didn't increase my lifestyle. I took the money that I made and I put it into investments that made money. So I traded time for money, got money, put it into investments that made money. So I went from the bottom left or top left down to the bottom left. I went up to the top right. And now my money that I make from earned income from my companies, and I scaled my companies, I took the earned income and I put it into investments. Now I'm on the bottom right. So I make money from my businesses that are scaled. I have 6 companies, 3 are in profit. So I get dividends weekly from different companies. I take that money. So from your job, you would take your job money and I first put it into investments. Okay. There's two things that I do. Number one is 10% goes into cash generating dividends. Okay. So that creates more cash flow. So I take the money that I make and I make more money, completely passive 24 hours a day. Okay. So now we have money coming in from businesses, then we have money coming in from dividends. And then what we do is when that money comes in, we put it into deflationary assets with fixed supply. So C is cash flow, capital DR, cash flow. Then I move it into fixed supply assets, opposite of the US dollar, built into the code. Bitcoin has 21 million, 95% of the supply is gone. Treasuries are buying 1,700 a day. They mine 450 a day. It's the most scarce asset in the world. The US government wants to buy 1 million Bitcoin, 5% of the supply. And if they do that, they'll shrink the balance sheet in half by 2045, 20 years from now. They're creating stable coins to balance out the US treasuries because 60% of stable coins use short-term treasuries. Okay. Guys, this is not by chance. This is not some flip of the switch. This is planned out methodically. Stop believing all this bullshit hype and riddlers. Like this is planned out a long time ago. You can't just detach from the gold standard and you can't just print money in a low interest rate environment and have 130% debt. Look at China, guys. They're 300% debt to income ratio. America has 120% debt to income ratio, and 30% of our debt's held outside the United States, mostly by Japan and China. Biden took Russia off the SWIFT system, and that started the battle. And they're like, screw America. We could just dump treasuries back on America. And then Trump trumped everybody with the Genius Act. And now everybody around the world can use stablecoins. Stablecoins are the fastest growing. Look at the transactions on stablecoins are destroying Visa and MasterCard. And he trumped everybody. Now he has the fastest growing stablecoin in the world, USD1. That's their platform, WFI. He genius. Bohine steps down, grabs Tether, brings it into America, has 90% of the stablecoin market. Trumped everybody. He's like, put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Let's go. Let's accumulate more Bitcoin than everybody. Now they control the supply of Bitcoin. They control the stablecoin market. Guys, the system is just flipping into the new system. It's the same game every single time. Okay. So now moving cash flow moves me from the wrong interest side, okay, the deflationary, inflationary side, which is going to getting less value, and I move it to the right side, the right interest rate side. So now I have assets that are growing over time. You see this, and I see this. Bitcoin has beat every single asset class the last 10 years. My XRP has grown 800% since 2020, and I believe it'll grow exponentially by 2030. Okay. I'm not a price prediction guy. I don't wait for hype. I build ecosystems. Okay. So with my assets that are appreciating, we're going to move Bitcoin over to leverage. We're never going to touch it. It's the most scarce asset in the world. It's my savings account that grows 50% every year. I'm not going to get my biggest bang for my buck, but 50% a year is pretty damn good. Altcoins, all other cryptos, I'm holding 50% long-term. If you're in my academy, I break everything down. I share everything I'm doing. Okay. 50% I'm holding. I exit on the way up. I think it's absolutely stupid to watch yourself make a ton of profits and rubberneck up and watch it come collapsing down. Richest man in Babylon, wisdom of King Solomon. Money is currency. It needs to flow. It needs to move. What happened to the person that buried their coin? They study this stuff, guys. This is real. Money is currency. It's energy. It's just transferring from one hand to another. If somebody, person, place, or thing is telling you to store all your cash, crypto, anything, they're making money on your currency. They're making it current. They're banking it up, and then they're making it current. I make my money current myself. So then I take the profit and I first max fund my insurance policies. These need to be set up properly. They're not retirement policies. They're insurance policies. They need to be set up properly. They need to be funded properly. They need to be structured properly. And you need to understand the tax code 7702A and how to use these properly. We use them properly. Okay. So that's my first. I max fund my policies. 10% of the profit is going to go into cash generating dividends, and I'm crushing it, Warren Buffett style. Okay. Then we have L, leverage. I use responsible leverage, very low leverage to buy more cash flow that pays off the leverage. So now I'm in capital DR number 2. I'm in bull run number 2. Capital DR. Now I have cash flow creating more assets that was created by the first asset. The first asset now has cash flow that's buying more assets. That's how winning is done. Study the book, Richest Man in Babylon. I studied it. I built the system. I didn't wait for hype. I didn't chase pump and dumps. I didn't chase all these little tokens trying to catch the next pump. I built a fundamental portfolio. I'm actually consolidating heavily into XRP, Bitcoin, and Solana. And I'm getting obsessed with cash generating dividends. We are crushing it on the dividend side. But the difference is I de-risk, de-risk, de-risk. Every time I get paid from a dividend weekly, I have a bunch of dividends coming in tomorrow. Bitcoin and XRP, Bitcoin and XRP, Bitcoin and XRP. That's what I'm doing. So I'd love to hear your comment down below what your ecosystem is, what you're doing. I share with you my top 7 cryptos, XRP, not financial advice by a long shot, Bitcoin, Solana, XLM, WFI, HBAR, and VeChain. And I have many others as well, but I'm going to be consolidating into the top 3. There's no reason to have 500 different cryptos. It's absolutely silly. That's not how investing is done. Pick a few winners, stick with them. Work hard, be disciplined, stop being sloppy, get disciplined physically, financially, and spiritually, and, build an ecosystem, guys. Men, I'm talking to you. Stop being sloppy spiritually, physically, and financially. Get your shit together. Let's go. Let's do this together. That's what they don't want you to do, guys. They want you sloppy and out of shape. They want your mind physically focused on lust and out of your spiritual mind and your spiritual body. They want you sloppy financially. So imagine a world you all of a sudden get really wealthy, but you're sloppy physically and spiritually. You're going to lose it, man. You want it all. Physical health, spiritual health, and financial health. And you need to get your spiritual health and your physical health in order first. And through that, you get disciplined in your financial health. And just like a physical discipline plan and a spiritual discipline plan, you have to have a financial plan. And stop relying on other men and women to manage your ecosystem. Manage your own. It's just my opinion. I love you guys. I appreciate you. All the resources you need down below in the description of my YouTube video. Click the link in my bio. I do not invest people's money. That's not me on WhatsApp. That's not me on Telegram. You can actually communicate with my team in my bio. Click the link or down below. You can set up, you'll see like what's it called? Let me see here. I got to look at my own thing here. You can set up a live call with my team. the live workshop with Coach JB. And you can set up a Zoom call with my team. They'll break down what we do. We're educators. We don't invest people's money. So we teach you how to take care of your own money. That's the key. Sovereignty, decentralized finance. We love you guys. Warriors, let's get your shit together. Love you.